Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana Shadakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthavidam Yena Bhudale Swayam Rupa Kadamakyam Dadadi Swam Padandigam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Yudam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sadgrajadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vidam Tam Sajivam Sadvaidam Savadudam Parijana Sahidam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishadhan Vidamscha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhudale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpade Gopesha Gopika Kanda Radha Kanda Namostude Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vamschakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Pavidana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming. I am deeply honored and grateful for this opportunity to speak about Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. And my obeisances to all the senior Vaishnavas here. I seek your blessings to say something meaningful. One thing that was amazing to learn reading about Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. Could people sitting in the way please move forward, because more and more people will be coming. If you can please move forward, that would be great. So, in the 1850s, we now take so many things for granted. Just to give the context of when Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur was born, it's quite an amazing life story. And the circumstances of 19th century, right? 19th century India, 1800s. Calcutta was the capital of British Raj. And Lord Chaitanya's teachings were kind of dwindled down, and people were using the bhakti concepts for doing all kinds of nonsensical stuff. It was called, there was no understanding of the true teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He was known in Bengal and Orissa But the actual Saragrahis, people who understood what the real teachings were, that was very rare. And you can imagine the Sahajiyas are people. How many of you have seen the Christian denominations where they do shaking and talking in tongues and all that? What do they call it? Pentecostal? Is it? And what is that? Shakers? Okay. So you have seen they go into kind of artificial trance with no sadhana, no understanding like that. So the Sahajiyas were imitating Lord Krishna's Rasalila. So if somebody wants to take pieces, bits and pieces of the teachings and the philosophy and to exploit it, like there are people who claim to be devotees of Lord Shiva, but they engage in smoking ganja, right? Similarly, the so-called devotees of Krishna, they were engaging in illicit sexual activities in the name of religion. So the true teachings and the majority, common sense people, ordinary people were so disgusted with this whole so-called bhaktas, because the so-called bhaktas are doing all kinds of abominable things. So later, our acharyas, they were worse than regular people, so-called Vaishnavas, the Sahajiyas. So it is in that context, that kind of society, that a personality like Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur appears. In 1838, his Kedarnath Datta, that was his name. He was born into actually a wealthy family. When he was a child, he was living. So, anyone know what zamindars mean? Yeah, they were the local aristocracy. They were the landowners. Everybody was. So he was born into a family where his maternal grandfather was a wealthy person, huge house, lot of land, lot of subordinate people. So he was born into that kind of circumstance. By the age 11, his father died, and the family, they lost the land, and it's a long story. Then they fell into difficult times, and he had to take the burden of the family. And it said there are a lot of different versions. He would ask people to help with money, and nobody would believe he didn't have the money, because he's from such a rich, famous family. So the family was, but he had this amazing ability to learn and to write. So in those days, people who were actual English educated was rare. Because of his uncle's influence, he helped his uncle publish a magazine, and he learned English. And at the age of 18, he entered college. He got his English degree in English, and he got his job as a teacher. Then he became the principal of the high school. So that was how he started. In those days, marrying very young was common. So he was married in his preteen years, and that was, and he had when he was 20 or early 20s, during the birth of his first child, his wife died. Then he remarried, and in the second wife, he had total of 12 children. So every person we know, acharyas, either they are Naishtika brahmacharis or sannyasis. And here is this person who had this large family, And I will talk about his amazing life. It's just unbelievable what he did. And when we study this, we understand the reason we are sitting here today. We owe Srila Prabhupada, of course, but this seed was planted by Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. The reason we are here today, reason ISKCON was established. And so let's understand the unique nature of his life and his essential messages. We have limited time. I'm told I have to stop at 5:15, right? Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, and there are some predictions he did, which came true. And so we can see that. So he's known as the seventh Goswami. So Srinivas Acharya praises the six Goswamis of Vrindavana, right? Jnana Shastra Vicharanega Nibunau, Sadharma Samstagavav, Loganam Hidakarino. So the six Goswamis deeply studied all the Shastras in order to establish eternal religious principles for the benefit of everyone. Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur made unlimited preaching contributions to help humanity. For this he is known as the seventh Goswami. So after he was the high school principal, he joined the government service. In those days, getting a job in the British government, the British are very clever. They know psychological manipulation. So there was a program in order to make it look like the British civilization was better. Everything British was better and everything Indian was very bad, actually, uncivilized. So the people who were and they glorified. It's amazing how well that has worked. So you can see that even the effects today in India and among Indians and everybody else too. So the real genius of Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur is he joined the British government service as a clerk, actually. Then because he was so hardworking, so loyal and so intelligent, he got promoted rapidly. And he became up to what is called a district magistrate, assistant district magistrate. And the British, 1,000 people from England controlled this whole country. And now it is 4 countries. British India included Pakistan, Bangladesh, Afghanistan, no? But at least 3 countries, right? This entire province was controlled by maximum of 1,000 true Britishers. Rest, they had this psychological manipulation. And they created this entire bureaucracy in which, so you could only become assistant something. That was the glass ceiling of those days. You know the glass ceiling, right? They say Hillary Clinton could not win because of the glass ceiling, right? So the glass ceiling in those days was the real power position was always a British person. Everybody else was secondary. So he came to the maximum in the ladder of the government service. And it was very prestigious position. So they were called in Bengal Bhadrilog. Bhadrilog means secure gentleman. Or another literal version is secure people, right? Bhadrilog, secure people. So it was the elite, what we call the East Coast elites here. So it was considered the elite of those days. So he was in that ladder. But his heart, what he did, so here is a schedule of what he did daily. So this was something, he wrote daily journals or diaries as they call it. So he wrote most of the waking hours, and he slept 3 to 4 hours. Japa study, and he was very strict with his sadhana. A drop of a hat, we have an excuse not to finish our rounds, right? Or our sadhana always takes, at least I'm talking from personal experience, we have always excuses not to be strict with our sadhana. Isn't that true? Yeah. But look at this person who had such an important job, and he had this large family. How many of you have 12 kids? Nobody. So you can imagine the pressures on anyone in order to run such a household. And how did he achieve this kind of schedule? So this is what he did. He sorry. So he wrote this daily 8 to 10 p.m. rest. Then 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. he wrote. So remember, by the age of 20, he had published a couple of big volume books. And he wrote in Bengali, he wrote in English, he wrote in Oriya. He also became well versed in Parsi and Sanskrit. He wrote books in Sanskrit. Look at this schedule. 4 a.m. to 4:30 rest, took a break. 4:30 to 7 a.m. chant japa. Then those days 7 to 7:30 correspondence. They didn't have AT&T and Verizon, so there was no cell phones. Many of you don't even know what letter writing is, right? Shashi Prabhu, you know what? Have you written letters? See, he has never written letters. Have you written letters?
Many.
Many? Okay. But in those days, in order to correspond, you had to write a letter, and it takes days. And if you are writing from India to America, you have to wait for a month. Then you get the letter, then you write a reply, and 2 months pass before you get a response. Krishna Priya Mataji, do you remember those days?
Yes. Yes, I have.
And there were etiquettes on how to write letters and all, and they went into a lot of the books have been written how to properly write a business letter, friend, love letter, or whatever, right? So this correspondence was a big thing. Many people today take it for granted that you can dial and communicate with someone. So why I am saying is because the people those days, the getting communication done before the beginning of the day was a very common schedule. Study Shastras, then even to his menu, what he ate. 10 to 1 p.m. he had the court duties, then he took some rest, court duties again in the afternoon. Then he had this translate Sanskrit to Bengali. So he has written more than 100 books in his life. 100 books. How hard it is to write even one page. So you can imagine the dedication, and on top of all his other pressures. So in the interest of time, I want to skip to 1874, fourth son of Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. So he went to Jagannatha Puri and prayed for a ray of Vishnu or Krishna because he was when he was getting older, he knew this was such a mission, he could not carry it by himself. So he prayed ardently for somebody to carry this forward. And he prayed for a ray of Vishnu, Krishna. So he had a vision, he had a dream that in Jagannath Puri there is the deity of Vimala Devi, right? So he had this vision, prayed to Vimala Devi. And he did. And a son was born and they named him Vimala Prasad, the blessing of Vimala Devi. And that Vimala Prasad is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. And this boy was incredibly genius. He had a photographic memory. By the age of 7, Vimala Prasad he could recite entire Bhagavad Gita by heart by the age of 7. And there is an incident here. When he was 6 months old, Lord Jagannath's cart stopped in front of him. So he was the administrator of Jagannath Puri temple. And the pandas were running wild. Just like today you see many pandas, how many of you have been to Jagannath Puri? So quite a few. I had the good fortune to go this year. And the pandas are quite some experience, right? If you don't have assistants with you. And he became the government administrator. So he found out that the local king had misappropriated monies, unintentionally or intentionally, we don't know. So he told the king, because he was the representative of the British government, you have to fix this. Do 52 times a day Annadana. So the king tried to get even with him by doing some tantras, etc. But what happened is nothing happened to Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, and the king died. His son died, right? So when he was in Jagannath Puri and Vimala Prasad, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was a 6-month-old baby, the cart stopped in front of their house, and Bhakti Vinoda asked his wife to bring the child to view and receive the blessings of Jagannath. So a garland fell from the cart onto the boy, like he was garlanded properly. Do you know when Vimala Prasad was born, he had the sacred thread around his neck. The umbilical cord of the mom was tied like a sacred thread in the proper fashion around his neck, around his shoulders when he was born. So there were symptoms of how much of a devotee he is going to become. So this is another instance, and his Annaprasna was done there, right there, and he heard Krishna stories from his mom, Vimala Prasad. Because another achievement of Bhakti Vinoda Thakur, in my opinion, he kept his 12 children and wife fully engaged as real serious devotees. How many of you think that's an easy job? Whatever you do, your spouse follows, right? Yes? No? How about the kids? So you and the difficulties you can imagine. So to keep this family going in the same direction, that is an amazing God-given achievement. Because we know many devotees, right? It is very hard to be on the same wavelength for so many things. Forget about something so personal as the extent to which he was doing it. So the accomplishments of Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. So we viewed one of the things his Shiksha, let me just back up a second. His Diksha Guru is Biban Bihari Goswami, who is in the line of Janavam Mata, but most of his inspiration came from Jagannath Das Babaji, whom we see in the pictures in a very, very old person, because he was more than 100 years old at that time. He was a very tall person, Jagannath Das Babaji, but because of old age, his back was curved. And they used to carry him in a basket around. And Shiksha Guru was Jagannath Das Babaji. Jagannath Das Babaji was well known as a real devotee, pure devotee of Lord Chaitanya. So he spent 6 months in Mayapur, 6 months in Vrindavan of the year. So that was, and Bhakti Vinoda Thakur took instructions from him for many times. So, some of the qualities people have recorded, he was always prideless, always humble, never kept grudges even with his opponents. How easy is it to do that? Do we keep grudges? No? That's a great thing. It's so hard to, we can't forget after years or decades the hurt even as children, right? I still remember all the insults in my old age too. So we are carrying this baggage of grudge, but he was well known for this thing. So some of his teachings is always chant Lord Krishna's glories attentively. And Krishna Kirtan, not the Delaware guy, Krishna Kirtan gives us mastery over the mind. So constantly chanting the glories of Krishna, that's the best way to get control over our mind. Give up false pride, think yourself destitute and more humble than straw on the street. This is so easy to read, so simple, but so difficult to practice. And he was able to influence people not because he was such a learned and respected person, but because of his humility. And that came through, it was not a show. Have you seen people showing humility for the sake of showing humility? But it comes through eventually, right? So and practice for the Trinadavi Sujijena is something he could put into practice. The practice forgiveness like a tree. So Lord Chaitanya's teachings. Give up violence against other living entities, maintain them. Never give anxiety to others, do good to them. Some of us only have to look at someone, we give them anxiety. Isn't that true? So, make others happy and forget about your own happiness. When you become a pious good soul, give up desires for fame and honor. This is so difficult for ordinary people, people like me. You always have this, even whatever people say, you always have this craving for distinction. You always, don't we all? We want to be known. We want to get the respect. These are all things that take us away from Krishna. So make your heart humble, knowing Lord Krishna lives in all living entities. You should respect and honor everyone at all times. In such a state, you should chant the Lord's glories. So he's saying, in order to receive the actual mercy, that is the state we need to attain. And there are so many stories of Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. The one famous story is there was a made-up god. One guy proclaimed, he was a mystic yogi. He had some yogic powers. He had some sadhana and he had some yogic powers. And he proclaimed himself as Vishnu. and he had two friends. One he called Shiva, one he called Brahma. And he was doing all kinds of nonsense. And he had a bunch of followers because he had some magic he could do. He was also talking against the British government. So the British government got anxious, and they sent Bhakti Vinod Thakur in order to solve this administrative problem. And when Bhakti Vinod Thakur went and met this guy, and he was always humble, but when he was living in a village, this sadhu, and Bhakti Vinod Thakur Maharaj went and told him, "You are such a big learned person, you should go to Jagannath Puri, stay there." And the sadhu very proudly said, "Why should I go to Jagannath Puri? I am the Lord living in flesh and blood. Jagannath Puri, you have a piece of wood. Why should I go there?" This really got Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So he went with the inspector, the policeman, and he arrested this person and put him to trial. And the judge was Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Because of this sadhu's mystics, siddhis, his daughter, Bhakti Vinod Thakur's daughter, became severely ill with fever, and on the seventh day of the trial. And the trial went on for about 18 days. Towards the end, Bhakti Vinod Thakur also became sick with the same symptoms: high fever, overnight, chills, etc. So then they found out this sadhu's hair. He had matted hair, and that was the source of his siddhis. So they ordered in the jail, clean shaved him. So this sadhu hadn't eaten anything for 18 days. But because of his siddhis, he was surviving, and he was fighting the trial. Then as soon as his hair was shaved, he fell down. And in the jail, he took poison. Of course, Bhakti Vinod Thakur punished him, and in the jail he took poison. The sadhu took poison and committed suicide. But what he was doing in that time, as I was saying in the beginning, was inspiring followers. Bring your wives, bring your daughters. I want to do Rasa Leela. So that's the kind of nonsense and buffoonery. They were making such a mocking mimicry of the true bhakti in those days. And people were falling for it. So we can talk about days and days about this amazing life, but in the interest of time of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, so he revived Chaitanya Charitamrita, the literature, and he had a vision of the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, because Ganges in Bengal flows, it goes one way in 1 year, next year it goes the other way, right? It is the mouth of, you can see even in the Google Maps, it's the delta, right? Islands come, islands go. So the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya was inundated by Ganga, and so he had this vision, this place is effulgent, and that was the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. He wanted to establish that. Because he was a magistrate, he could get all the records of Nadia and Navdeep, and he could identify it geographically. The third way he confirmed it, he took his guru, Jagannath Das Babaji, there, and as soon as Jagannath Babaji was very old, more than 100 years old, and you can see in our pictures, is like a very bent person. They carry him in a basket. As soon as Jagannath Babaji touched that place, which Bhakti Vinod Thakur thought was the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, you know what happened? This person who couldn't even walk started dancing in ecstasy. And Jagannatha Babaji, Bhakti Vinoda Thakur's guru, confirmed that that is the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya. Then Bhakti Vinoda Thakur went door to door in order to collect money, and he established the temple there. The temple is still there, right? In Nadia, Navdeep? Yeah, Yoga Peeth. So that is where the yoga means union, the spot where the union of the divine and the material happens. So that temple is still there. He revived Chaitanya literature. He wrote over 100 books, as we said. But another important thing is lived the highest exemplary standards of a practical devotee. He proved that you don't have to go to the forest, you don't have to renounce your family, you can have a job, and you can do all of these things, be in the world, not of the world. He lived that by his example. And that is very relevant for most people today, right? So, in order to practice Bhakti Yoga. But another thing which is very relevant to us, out of the 100 plus books, in 1896, he sent this book, Gauranga Leela Mangala Stotram. It was a booklet, and he wrote about 40 plus pages of introduction in English, introducing the Vaishnava philosophy. And he called it Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his life and precepts. And one of Srila Prabhu's disciples has reprinted that book. And he sent it to libraries and universities around in the Western world. So, Royal Asiatic Society received it, and they reviewed it by a European scholar, Fraser. So we have proof of that. And when Srila Prabhupada was on this planet, when he was in Vancouver, Montreal, somebody got this book, actual physical book, which Bhakti Vinoda Thakur had sent in 1896 to McGill University and brought it to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada was so ecstatic to see that. Do you know the importance of year 1896? That is the year Srila Prabhupada was born. And that's the year Bhakti Vinoda Thakur sent this literature to Western countries. In fact, he had this vision that these are his three predictions. A personality will soon appear, Lord Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. He will travel all over the world to spread the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. He predicted that many years before, many years before anything people could imagine. That very soon the chanting of Harinam Sankirtan will be spread all over the world. Oh, when will that day come? When people from America, England, France, Germany, Russia will take up kartals, mridangas and chant the Hare Krishna in their towns. So, and the third prediction, when will that day come when the fair-skinned foreigners will come to Sri Mayapur Dham, join the Bengali Vaishnavas to chant Jaya Satchinandana, Jaya Satchinandana? When will that day be? So in 1986, exactly 100 years after this, 3,000 Western devotees and 1,000 Mayapur devotees, Bengali devotees in Mayapur chanted Jai Satchinandana, Jai Satchinandana to commemorate this prediction. So, and all these predictions, Srila Prabhupada is the personification of making the second prediction come to fruition. So, and another thing, so there is no end to his glories. I couldn't even keep up with the literature that's available. Because he was in the government service, there were records you can verify, and devotees have done that, of the life of Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur. and every month date where he was posted. So he was posted all over northwestern India, and all his life is well documented. So because I should stop here, maybe we can take one or two questions. I just want to make an announcement. At 5:30, we are doing a tour of the new temple. So if people who have missed last time, highly encouraged to join us at 5:30 in the front to see the construction of the new temple. So please come at 5:30 if you missed the last tour, or if you want to see the progress since your last tour. I asked the Bensalem devotees, especially because they were missing all the tours, so please come. Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakur ki jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.